And now, joining us here in our studios is Saurabh Uboweja, founder, CEO, and chief brand strategist at Brands of Desire. Saurabh, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on World is One. I'm going to ask you a really simple question. Look at that. Can the information that, if I went and to a store yesterday, to a mall and bought an H&M jacket, can it tell people as to which way I'm going to vote in the upcoming elections?
Well, this is a pretty interesting question. So while you cannot really, estimate which way you're going to be swaying just based on what you purchased last evening, but if H&M was, seeking more specific information about, how you made your purchase, and that information was probably usable, on a social media platform in some way or the other. And if there was a platform like Cambridge Analytica in this case, asking you certain specific questions which were probably pertaining to your personality attributes in the disguise of a quiz, which everybody wants to take these days, what's my digital style or what's my personality style.
Yeah.
And if by chance I do answer that, H&M is my preferred brand, maybe because I purchased it yesterday, then for sure it is sending a signal of, which way I could sway in terms of my personality attributes that probably match to the H&M brand. To some extent, there is some correlation that a brand marketer would want to make, and then probably run a campaign that can sway the...
So this works both ways, right? As far as from the brand marketing perspective, that tells you what kind of, products that you like. So that can be used by companies to target you in terms of, that will tell you your age profile, etc., etc.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Apart from that, what's the more that we know that happens already, because our social media timelines tell us that story. Invariably, we're prompted about things that that we already have on our mind about.
True.
But this is even more serious. We're talking about influencing elections based on my choice of shoes.
Yeah, well, so it's not unusual. Let's understand where this all emanates from. For any marketing strategy to be created, somewhere you need to segment your customers, right? And how do you segment your customers? At the end of the day, you've got to understand who your customers are, what their fashion choices are, what their lifestyle choices are.
So we make it sound so matter of fact, as if it's a done thing, because it has been a done thing, because these revelations that have come out is the fact that this was not done now. This has been being done for the last few years.
Yeah, so what needs to be understood is that segmenting itself is not unethical, but if you're collecting information in the disguise of making a consumer feel that, he's part of some quiz contest or, and he's completely gullible to the idea of giving that information, not being aware how it's going to be used is unethical. And in that sense, to sway the elections in a particular direction because of segmentation is not unethical, but collecting data in an unethical way to segment the customers is certainly unethical.
So, which basically means that it's not wrong if I'm being judged on the basis of what brands of clothes or shoes that I buy. The question is, what are you using that judgment for, and how are you using that judgment?
Yes, and how are
whether
you
with my
the
consent
data?
Or not in the first place.
Absolutely, yes. In this case, there is no consent. So let's take another example. While today we are talking about social media as a source of data collection or digital as a source of data collection, but I don't know if you're aware, but credit card companies have been doing that now for decades. They study your shopping behavior, they're able to actually assess based on what you purchased, and they can actually recommend solutions to you, products to you, and I'm not quite sure if they actually end up using that data to for any other purpose. I wouldn't be in a position to comment on that.
One can never be sure of that, can we?
But they have access,
Yes. Oh, they have access, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation, how much access they have and how much people need to be aware of what kind of access that people have. So, almost nothing on your timeline is there luck by chance. It's not there as incidental. They're there because people know who you are, what you've been wanting of late, and they're there to give you more of that.
Yes, and what's really interesting is that, as customers, we feel that we're using a platform like Facebook or Instagram free of cost. But we don't know is that we're still being sold, and there are ways in which these platforms monetize us as consumers using our data, sometimes without our consent. Sometimes the mediums themselves are not aware how other organizations are using their platforms to mine data to probably misuse, in one way or the other.